Welcome to the Decoded Show. This episode is dedicated to my former self, the guy that was stuck in traffic for hours on end. I believe there were days when I spent like 3 hours in traffic in Chicago. They were the crazy days. And in those days I had golden handcuffs. I had about $100,000 a year job, and I just didn't feel fulfilled at one point. There was like a good progression when I started that job. I started with $45,000 a year salary, and I slowly over the 6 years progressed. It was healthy progress, and I liked what I was doing. But at one point I was like 32 years old, and I was thinking like, if I don't start now, when will I start? So there was like this looming fear that if I don't do it now, I won't be able to do it. And I was right. I feel like I jumped ship the very last moment. And after a few years, the only regret that I had was that I didn't start sooner. But over the course of the years of running the business and successfully selling single-handedly about $3 million worth of services and fulfilled with zero bad reviews anywhere around the internet on us, like 100% positive impressions on Google, Upwork, and Clutch. There are quite a few regrets that I've generated over the course of creating the business, but I think the only way through is through. And some of the realizations that I came up with are pretty deep. The most important realization that I will help you to guide you through is the realization about how quickly you can get results. Sometimes it's about the skills, but more often than skills, it's about how quickly you want to change. And this is pretty strange thing to say, but I can, with 99.9% confidence, tell you that any one of you who decide to start a business, even like walk out on $100K a year, cushy job with health insurance and all that good stuff, the one thing that will determine how quickly you get results in the business is how quickly you can change the behaviors that don't suit you. So it's not about learning new things, especially if you were like marketing director or director of operations or a manager, middle manager in a company, and you were competent at your role. Chances are you don't need to learn anything new. Maybe sales. But once you go out and branch out, the things that you need to unlearn will be more valuable than the things that you learn, because you're coming into a business from a 9-to-5 job where you've been conditioned to be the cog in the machine. When you're an entrepreneur, it's a completely different ballgame. You are a system builder, and you are not rewarded for the time that you've put into the business. And the hustle culture has been influencing people's minds in a very negative way, where you glorify your own labor as if it's something that gives you some moral superiority as to why you deserve a business in the first place. And the business doesn't work like that. It really doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your programming. It's a reality outside of your belief system. So in order to jump to that higher level of the belief, you have to have a certain level of defiance to how majority of the people are programmed. Like, you need to resist your NPC instincts. Maybe that sounds harsh, but looking back 6 years ago, my journey started with having a really good referral channel. I had these two guys that were selling spreadsheets with data, like email contact info. And once they sell them, the customers of theirs didn't have anyone to help them send the emails. So we came up with the product. It was like a quick product. It was like bundled as an offer pretty quickly and put the price tag, and hey, we're sending emails 3 times over for you for $1,500 to the list that you just purchased from these guys. And then we would give them 20% cut. Like when we started doing that, within 4 months, we sold about $100,000 worth of email marketing services. Now, a lot of challenges happened over there, but the offer itself was pretty cool because it wasn't promising anything. The results were inconsistent. If the data that the guys from the referral network worked, the marketing campaigns would have some results, and then there would be a repeat business. And the problem was 70% of the time it didn't work, but you still cash collected. And that taught me something about business. Like when you're structuring your offer, you can pretty much detach, especially when it's not your responsibility, from the outcome, and you can still run profitably. So marketing is elusive, right? Like sometimes the customers would have like a good copy to give us. Sometimes they would hire us to write a good copy on top of the sending. So it's like a nice little ecosystem where we were able to send emails to a point where we like set up our own servers, managed to avoid spam filters. Bear in mind, these people were trying to break some of the rules. And if they were like sending B2C, it wouldn't work that well. But if they were sending B2B cold email was working pretty well, and we would drive them some customers as a byproduct. Anyhow, like I learned to detach from the customer's outcome pretty quickly. And that's how you can manage to stay in business, because you can't please everyone. So that's why you create like these lower tickets. That was like my first entry into a cold offer where someone would just send me a lead. It was referred, and once that lead got sent, we would sell. I remember I went on a vacation in 2018, and I was in Barcelona, and from over there, I would just close deals and come back with $10,000 more than what I had when I left for vacation. So on vacation, I made like $10,000. And at that moment, I knew I don't have to go back to the office. And at that moment, I decided that I'm going to quit. So that was the starting point. The problem with that is that once I figured out that one channel, I didn't start building other channels. And I didn't focus on developing the marketing skills. And at the same token, my, like I would say, college friend built up a company back in Serbia, and they started with the marketing channel first. So they had that premeditated. So I knew from them that if you get these leads on the call, that you'll be able to start a business. And one thing is, if you're entering into the business with not completely clear mind, and you're allowing your emotions to fluctuate, you won't be making the healthiest decisions. So that's why, in order to establish and assert control over uncertainty, I would send myself into the overdrive mode. So I would move into 2019, and I would work 12 to 14 hours a day. And in doing so, I was like constantly hustle, grind set on the phone. And looking back at it now, I think, yes, great, it built me. And it allowed me to become a more agile problem solver, someone that can figure out things on the fly, how to manage an unsatisfied client, how to provide additional value if someone's like not 100% happy, how to close a deal, and how to sell to a person that's not like fully ready to buy. A myriad of positive things happened, but one thing that wasn't resolved was the thing that happened before the lead came to the call, which is a lead generation. So the lead generation got resolved like 5 years later in its totality, because I had these crutches. Like I had this referral partner network, and when that one died out, I figured out the Upwork, and I stayed for Upwork for way too long, and that created like a platform dependence. And that platform dependence, given that I had this experience, negative experience of depending on someone always was giving me the anxiety. So when you're walking into the business, you want to establish power and control. And the reason why you want to do that is because when you have control over the reality, you are assuming the position of confidence. And that is a game changer because you walk through life and carry yourself differently. You don't have anxiety. I remember when we got on Upwork for the first time and started getting these good reviews, I did a great job with that. And the problem was that I would have to put myself in extremely subservient position where the customer was always right to a point where it's costing me money in order to maintain the reputation. It wasn't the worst thing in the world because accumulating those reviews on Upwork allowed me to have a much higher ground when I'm talking to a new prospect because like I have evidence. I deliver good service. Like it's undeniable because we have a mountain of proof. And something happened around the 20th review that every new customer that came into conversation with us, they were closing like that. There was not a lot of back and forth. And that's the moment when I figured out how the review game is important. So going back and looking at it, I could have gotten clients from social media, have 10 video testimonials, and they would do exact same thing, like 20 written reviews on Upwork, right? And that's what's happening like in the marketplace right now. A lot of reviews that you have out there are not from the real clients. They're from the mock clients from the freelancers and social media influencers that understand how reviews impact the psychology. And I didn't know that when I was starting out. Like I didn't invest the necessary time to examine what is the impact of B2B reviews on the consumer decision-making behavior or business-to-business decision-making behavior. And the way I grew my business from the Upwork point to moving on to Clutch and ultimately to have an SEO as the primary source of leads, the deal size kept increasing because I couldn't play the volume game. I was like a one-man show, and I would have like today 20 contractors, but I started out with 3 guys, or actually 1, and then I added 2 more. And in doing so, I never cleared the number 1 problem of the business. And at that level of awareness, I just knew every time I would try Google Ads, even though I've spent millions of dollars on Google Ads, when you start to do advertising with your own money and you make, I don't know, 10 grand a month, and you need to give Google 2, and you don't have a guaranteed outcome of that investment, it hurts a lot. And every time we would pull the trigger on spending money on Google Ads, and it wasn't fully justifiable to invest a big amount of money because cost per click in B2B web design is like $30 to $50 each. And that's just a click. We're not talking about conversion. We're not talking about the marketing qualified lead and all that stuff. Like it's just expensive. And the reason why it's expensive because later, only thing that I've learned is that a lot of these agencies are actually selling websites for $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. Don't ask me how. Just believe me. Go on Clutch and research your own reviews because the web design business is one of the most lucrative opportunities. And the reason why that is the case is because most employees, web designers, freelancers, they don't know how to create a highly converting website that actually helps their clients to make more money. And those that do know, and I will give like one shining example of a web design agency that makes over $10 million a year on content marketing alone. So no paid ads, nothing, and trade shows. So shout out to Andy Christodina if he's watching this. But the guy has like amazing funnel, pretty huge B2B content marketing mailing list with 20,000 subscribers and smacking that one over and over and providing immense value through the content up front, his sales team and he himself are clearing over 10 mil. And that means that his team in Chicago is clearing at the bare minimum 10 websites a month, because their minimum is like $85,000 per website. So probably over 100K per site. So if you have that idea, like, you can see how the pathway exists, even if you're just starting out, even if you do it wrong, the way I've done it wrong. And I'm saying, like, web design, it's just like a blanket statement for multiple services: analytics, conversion rate optimization, landing page creation, advertising, search engine optimization. A lot of services are affiliated with web design. Web design is just like a blanket term to make it easier for people to understand what is it that I do. Like, I think it's more fair to say I make money for my clients, literally print money. And over the course of time, I started realizing that even though my whole foundation was hustle, and now when I'm looking back at it, I know predictably that if I'm in a pinch, I can hustle out $20,000-$30,000 in a month. Like, if I really need the money and I want to put the hustle mindset to the grindstone, I need to get the cash out. Like, I just have to start sending emails, get the dials, hit the LinkedIn, ask everyone I know, hey, can you send me some leads? Like, it's possible because I've been doing it for 6 years now as the only source of revenue, quitting my job at Detach and getting to that point. So walking back, the first thing that I would do if I was starting from scratch is I would figure out the leads. Because if you have predictable lead flow and the marketing engine, you have such an immense peace of mind, because every day you have new shot on target. And in knowing that you can shoot the hoop again and again and again, it removes the pressure from you to perform, because if in 1 week you have 5 sales calls and only 1 closes, you're still operating ROI profitable. And there's a beautiful thing, because you can hire offshore labor to complete all the work. So in the 6 years that I've been running my own agency, I haven't built a single website, and I'm proud of it. I personally didn't get my hands dirty. I hired people that were better at that job than myself, and I allowed them to thrive. The only thing is that the whole system was predicated on my own time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears, from having these emotional relationships with prospects and building up that trust. And that's extremely time consuming. It's a full-time job. Sales is a full-time job. And the good salesperson, they can probably realistically organize maybe 5 sales calls in a day, like, that are 1 hour long. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of energy. And I remember in the early days of the business, I would be on the phone call every day, all day. Every day, all day. Now these days, like, I'm aging, right? So my will to deal with some things that are not challenging for me anymore is, like, diminishing. But I do maybe 2-3 sales calls per week. And this is more than enough, because, like, my close rate ratio is 1 in 2. Or 1 in 3, because it's not because I'm the greatest salesperson. It's because I actually vet the clients and make sure that they actually want to close before I even hop on a call trying to sell them. Because you're not, as a salesperson, you're not really selling. You're not selling anything. You are an order taker. Like, you can get client amped up about what you can do for him, but at the end of the day, you're just capturing the movement that's already existing. You're not convincing someone of something. You don't want to deal with cold leads. No one wants to deal with cold leads. You're not there to convince a prospect to become your buyer. You're there to present your value and position yourself on the spot. And when you position yourself, like, they're the ones who are going to say, yeah, that's for me, or no, that's not for me, I'm going to go the other way around. Oftentimes, when they do go other way around, it's probably for the best, because it didn't waste your time and energy into fulfilling or doing something that the other party wouldn't enjoy, or you yourself wouldn't enjoy. And if I could go back in time, there were the moments when we acquired like a consecutive six-figure months in a row where I took everything on my plate. And like I'm concurrently and simultaneously running like 8 projects at the same time by myself. That was a lot. And I managed to have project managers at that time. That's like how I broke into the mindset of having the project manager and pyramidal structure of the organization with me at the top. But like the time has come for me to fire myself from my own business. And I'm like pretty happy with the position where I'm at. But it like always goes back to the leads. If you can inexpensively make a name for yourself and that you can get leads to sign up for your service without you having to hop on a call with everyone, it's much healthier model. Like especially if you're selling something as a low ticket, like a $1,500 one-time service, which we do have a lot of these like lower tickets, and that's something that's probably going to be a topic for another show where I'm going to talk about ways that I help people scale to $20,000 per month with productized services. But it's a completely different topic. I want to go back to establishing control over your business. Like now, years later, like when the lead flow is coming effortlessly, it's coming from content, it's coming from podcasts, coming from SEO, from every single little bucket, it comes in little by little. But that's because I've been working towards securing those opportunities and trying to diversify the platform risk from Clutch and Upwork. They were bringing in significant revenue. But one thing was very interesting because I was focused on paying the bills and getting the highest monthly income that I could generate. But the difference between the income and the monthly recurring income, the impact of these two on your psyche is mind-boggling. It's absolutely bananas. I prefer to have $50,000 a month recurring over having 100K months where I have to hunt every month to retain that number. That's crazy on the psyche, because I've been used to growing year over year 20%, and then 2023 to 2024 I had like a massive drop off because of the burnout. And throughout that burnout I repositioned the game only to work on the MRR, and that allowed enough of a cash flow that I can like have clear mind and clear thinking to solve the lead problem. And the reason why I didn't get to it is the weak emotional control, because I was in this competition mode where my college friend was making, I would say, $250,000 per month or something close to, and I was like, I'm at 50, I'm at 100. Like I had to compete. Even though they were 2, I was by myself, so a little bit of a different setup and probably higher margin on my end than it was on their end. So I did like exceptionally well in comparison. Even though the business was smaller, the profitability was much larger. The biggest part of the problem was in my chase to compete with someone who had monthly recurring revenue, I completely destroyed scalability of my own business. And that's because I was stubborn. And that's the blind spot of your own mind, right? The mind is creating these blind spots, and they're different for everyone. And I talk with a lot of entrepreneurs. I coach other agency owners, helping them transcend these problems, like how to figure out a product that they can make? What is their core strength? Where are they getting the leads from? How are they acquiring the customers? All these things are highly individualized because we are a personality-driven business. The web design services, or like just digital marketing services, are based on the relationships. It's a business that's built upon relationships. And a lot of times when you're operating from this, I must do this, you actually pigeonhole yourself down into bad projects, and saying yes to everything sometimes slows you down, like it did for me from 2023 to 2024. Like, in order to preserve the reputation, I had to go out of my pocket and go into a lower profitability on a project just so I can defend my pristine 100% job success reputation that every job we took, we completed successfully, like whatever we were assigned to. So it took a lot of effort, and the pride was in there. I think a lot of people wouldn't fight to preserve their reputation to that level. Now, what I've learned throughout the process is that not all clients are worth preserving reputation with, because some of them are exploiting your pride and try to take advantage of you. So I had to like kind of pause and figure out, before I take on a client, which client I want to take, so I don't get stuck in a energy that's bogging you down. So that I can keep growing without looking over my shoulder if someone's gonna say something bad or not. And in that, I increased the filtering of who can actually work with us. So the pricing became like a biggest differentiator. But the control now comes from the knowing, from the experiential knowing. But boy, would my business be dramatically different if I solved lead gen first. That would allow me to trickle down and buy everything else, so that I don't even have to learn all the things that I've learned. Not a bad thing that I did, but when you're an entrepreneur, you're not a superhero. You are a builder. It's a different identity, and it's a one that I had to grow into because I didn't have anyone to show me. I spent $80,000 onto self-education, years having one-on-one mentors. I think that my agency training conducted by Brent from YouGurus, shout out to him, YouGurus doesn't exist anymore, but I'm passing the baton of that education on to other people that want to learn from me. But spending $60,000 with them generated me over $600,000 or $700,000 of directly attributable revenue from what I've learned from their program. It costed me, like some people pay for college, the ROI on those 60K was insane. And I can pinpoint that to one thing that one of my mentors told me: have weekly meetings with your clients so you can listen to what they really value and need, so that you can position your offer and ask for the most money for the things that are least amount of work for you, which is entrepreneurship. It's counterintuitive for someone who just broke out through the 9-to-5 mindset, right? So that's been so valuable for me that it completely changed my life, how I observe things and how I'm positioning myself for the future, that I'm not afraid of the things that I'm doing. Like, I know that even with my eyes closed, even if you take away my LinkedIn, which that did happen, I got suspended, I'll get it back. You take away my Twitter, you take away my mailing list, as long as I have my mouth, I'll be able to clear 20 grand in a month. In a calendar month, like if it's boiling down to that, at the bare minimum, with my mouth, I'll clear 20 grand. No questions asked. As long as I have a phone and an internet connection, I got this, right? So that gives me a level of certainty that other people that are coming into the game, they don't have. Because I remember when I was starting out, the only reason why I wasn't worried, because I was wired. I had no time to worry because I was in the deals. I was in the hustle. The only problem is that I created dependency on the lead sources. If I was the source of the leads, or at least I had a secured source of the leads, everything would be much easier. My trajectory to reach 7 figures or 6-figure months would have been, I would say, 2 years shorter than how long it took me. It's like from 2019 until 2023, 2019, 2020, 21. So it took me like 3 years to reach to a point where I had 100K months. That's a long time. I could have cut that down in 1 year if I knew how to prospect and how to disqualify time wasters and tire kickers instead of spending time and resources on customers that can't afford me. So it took a little bit of growing into, but I think a lot of people that are starting out, that have a job, that are wondering, how do I break out? And I think marketing is dramatically harder than sales. If you're a personable human being, that if you're easy to talk to, if people are telling you you're easy to talk to, start a business. 10K in a month is easy. I made my first blockbuster video was 10K a month is easy. I still believe that, but it is under one condition. If you are a person that's easy to talk to, it's 100% easy to make 10K a month. Because even if you suck and you just focus on having 1 sales call per day, semi-qualified, and you close 1 customer per month, per week, that means 4 customers per month that pay you. Let's say that you sell website extremely cheap for $3,000 each. And there's so many other things you could sell. You could sell backlinks packages. You could sell content pieces that someone else wrote. You can insane amount of things you can sell. It doesn't have to be a website. And the most beautiful thing is, if you are doing the work that you are selling, you are doing the whole thing wrong. I think that a lot of people get stuck in entrepreneurship because they approach it with the employee mindset. They start selling and they sabotage their own sales process because they know that they will have to do the job. And in doing so, they actually subconsciously undermine their own effort to acquire a customer, and also they undermine their own effort to acquire a lead because they don't want to do the work. And there's part of it is like, why are you so lazy that you can't build your own website? And the other part is, why don't you just learn how to hire? And luckily for me, before I started doing my own thing, the primary reason why I've stayed in e-tech was to learn how to manage people. I was a brutal manager. Like I figured out a system how to squeeze out the energy out of people to the max, so that we get the maximum value on the production of the sites. Because in e-tech, I was responsible for creation of 3,000+ websites. So I had to keep these team members who were writing content, designing websites, coding websites, like clockwork. They were moving like a factory. 3,000 websites, to build them out is no joke, right? So when I left that job, I already had the recipes. So I thought if I just build that back end, the front end would be easy. But I had to learn the skills of B2B marketing, because my primary skills were SEO and B2C marketing, which is much easier than B2B. And a lot of people that enter into the B2B marketing arena, not realizing that you don't sell one-to-one. If you're talking to a business owner, you're talking to a wrong guy. Your clients are not individuals. They are broke. Like the person that is a solo law firm owner doesn't have $50,000 to pay you for a website, because those are the realistic numbers. You need to talk to a business, and you need to know how to sell. You need to know what is a sales process, what is a qualification call, what is a discovery call, what is a solutions presentation, what is a proposal presentation, how to write a contract. It's a whole elongated process that allows you to charge up to $100,000 for a website. The highest I've charged for an e-commerce website was $84,000. Real money, cash collected to the point, to the letter, to a single cent. And the thing is, took 6 months to build it. It was custom, but boy, it was worth it, because the process itself was able to get me to that point, and it was worth it. But there's a problem with these high ticket deals. They're great, but they give you this emotional roller coaster up and down that you want to avoid. And it's not until later, until we switch the product and all of our websites to become website as a service bundled with SEO, that my anxiety levels kind of like disappeared, because my revenue became predictable. I wasn't forced. I'm not forced. Like, I can go and wake up and be lazy and not sell a whole month and still generate the same income that I generated last month. And that makes an environment in which I'm entering into the sales calls with the full presence, so that I can onboard a deal. And even better part, like, I can hire people to do the sales now because there's a fulfillment engine on the back end. Like, business is a system, and sometimes it will take a while for your identity to assimilate that you are actually a business owner. And some people will feel like an imposter. So before you even think about the leads, the one thing that is probably going to be counterintuitive for most, and business for most entrepreneurs is counterintuitive, but the primary thing before even figuring out the leads problem is how to fix the issues of your own self-worth. Because when you find ways to grow, like I did in 2023, you will also find ways to self-sabotage and slow down your business. So I made the mistake in 2024, a big mistake, a grave mistake. I wanted to become a content creator and figure out how to sell all these courses because it seemed easier, and you can only work 4 hours a day and blah, blah, blah. And then I ended up working 12 hours a day, and my creative output was shit, and my sales output was shit, and then like everything was crap, right? So I diligently sat down and wrote every day, 1,000 words, dropped, like even in 2023, I started writing like semi-professionally, but 2024, I was like 5 a.m. wake up, like write 1,000 words, at 7 a.m. you start working with a team. That's how the setup went. And hey, I became a good writer. Like I got something that's like extremely valuable, but costed a metric fuck ton of money. Like, did I make the right decision? Only if I stick with writing in a longer time that I can actually get to the next level. And it's knock on wood, like, all right, knock on wood, I got that. Like, so pretty proud of my content creation capabilities. And they impact these videos and everything else I'm creating. But I feel this video was pretty enlightening. It helped me kind of like analyze the whole situation. I hope you guys also got something out of it. If you've been watching this thing for 39 minutes, I love you. I appreciate you spending this much time with me, and I hope this was highly engaging and valuable to you. But I'm all out of the story. I'm gonna put the link in the description below. Conversion Insider, I should have probably shared this way ahead of time, but sign up for the newsletter so you can actually witness and hear this writing that is going to be quite helpful if you are starting your own company. There's a reason why I'm preaching the philosophy of business one sales call per day, start with sales, start with lead flow, so that you can understand how all these things operate. You can branch out and you can build a system out of your business if you take these steps much faster than going into marketing first. It's extremely hard. Like, don't try to go into marketing if you're not exceptionally intelligent, laid back pattern recognition machine that can connect the dots, and you can do that in 6 months. Like, I think it's like way easier to just, especially if you're a person that's easy to talk to, start a service-based business. Anyhow, guys, Brand Decoded Show, thank you for tuning in. Over and out. Have a great night.